Stay with me, watch. Don't go to sleep on me. The show has just started. I want you to sing me the fall and decline of the universe. Oh. No, that's not going to be good enough. There we go. Really? We're doing this today. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm... this other, app, now I'm not seeing anybody, watching on the thing at the moment, so, at least it's not telling me that anybody is. So, let's just, things that happen. Ugh. Alright, I'm gonna deal with this later. Okay. Okay.
Hey, Homer now!
Now I'm gonna put this on this side. And...
Shit!
There's one person watching the stream right now. Oh, gosh. That's fun, isn't it? So, it's come to my attention that my apartment is a bit of a sty right now. Okay, there's apparently some delay on this. So, I don't know how that's going to pan out with the, with any text chat I might be reading. This is a completely different, app on my phone. It's not the YouTube app that I'm streaming from, because that's decided that, I don't know, I guess they've decided that they're going to be very specific with, and I have not, I don't know, like, the best I've been able to figure out is that they won't let you stream from your phone until you've had 1,000 plus subscribers for a minimum of 30 days. That seems to be what they're doing now, but that's not, visible in their, at least the mobile view of their FAQ, which kind of drives me nuts, because, right? Who knows? I don't know. So yeah, this is a third-party thing, and, I went with this rather than, the Streamlabs or whatever I was using before, because this one promised to have a, enable the flashlight on the front-facing camera, which means I'm probably going to have to get up and get the, charger cord in a bit here, but that's another story for another time. So, yeah, as I began many times before, it has come to my attention that my apartment is a bit of a sty, which makes complete sense. I have seasonal affective disorder. This means I spent all winter in a bit of a depression hole. This also means that when shit happened 3 weeks ago now, and all of this, it was just starting to stop being winter, which means that I went from beginning to emerge from the depression hole into much deeper into the depression hole. So, I'm not having a good time. I'm not having a good time. In fact, I'm probably less informed about what the hell's going on, especially, within my particular state, than a more reasonable person would be, because I have made the conscious decision to give a bare minimum of attention to the news, because I am... This is not the most... This is not something going down that my anxieties are equipped for. So, I'm giving this all the bare minimum of my attention, and... excuse me. Don't worry about my health, that's just allergy phlegm, and I know that because it happens all the time, because I'm a dumbass, and I'm given 3 prescriptions for my allergies. I'm giving an oral medication, which I take daily. It's a pill, that's oral medication. I guess it could also be administered via eyedropper, but that's not the case here. I'm also given nasal spray, which I don't use as often as I should. And I'm also prescribed eye drops, which, again, I don't use as often as I should, because I'm a dumbass. I also really hate giving myself eye drops. To be fair, though, I don't know a single person who enjoys giving themselves eye drops, but... that's kind of my excuse for... why I'm always making phlegm, even though I know what I can do to stop doing this. Yellow bouquet, dead roses, strange divine. Oh, 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 oh. I have no idea if anybody's typing anything into the text chat on here. If this is something that that this app can let me see while streaming. I have not found that setting. I guess I just kind of assumed it would be plug and play, more or less, but apparently not. Oh, shit. Oh, this is gonna be fun, isn't it? As another means of helping to keep my sanity, I'm sure there are going to be people who think that that's really irresponsible of you, but it's like, you know, this is just a real balancing act, and, you know, you want to say to me, like, yeah, well, who are you to decide, like, you know, that you know, whose life is worthy or not? And I was like, well, you know, the same statement can be said for people who are dealing with mental illness in all of this. So, yes, yeah, I have made an informed decision that it is a lot easier on my mental health and is barely, if at all, an increased risk, like I said, barely, if at all, an extra risk to other townies for me to, just, like, space out my errands. Like, say, for example, I have something waiting for me at the post office. Of course, now with the buses running on Sunday hours only, meaning that the Ann Arbor transit buses stop running at, like, 7, I believe. No, earlier than that. Something like 6:30 is when the last one leaves out of the Ann Arbor station. So, with, so with buses stopping, like, far too soon to be of all that many people, yeah, it's like much like could only go to the post office and then come back home. So it's like, I can, you know, depending on the time of the day I get up, I'm like, okay, I can either go to the post office, for example, or I could leave an hour earlier, go to the post office, and then get half and half for my coffee at Kroger. You know, or I can do the post office today and go out to Kroger for half and half the next day. Then I go to into the kitchen to discover how much half and half I actually have, and I'm like, okay, well, I can do Kroger for half and half today and go to the post office tomorrow, for example. Or, you know, say, because we're talking breakfast. So, my breakfast typically consists of coffee with half and half, and usually a Torani syrup, and a glass of almond milk, about 8 ounces, and a glass of juice, about 4 ounces. This is your traditional juice glass size. Until about the 1960s, juice was like the dessert of breakfast. You know, it wasn't something you had all that much of, and something very few people had every day. But I like to have cranberry juice because I'm an old person. I need to keep certain things regular. I need to make sure my bladder's doing fine. especially considering that I've gotten kidney stones already. Nothing horrible, nothing too, terrible to pass. It was just, really painful when it happened. So, where was I going with this? Right. So, okay. Say I have, I have, maybe an extra day or two on the half and half, but I only have enough juice to last me for today's breakfast. I will go out and get juice on today, and then go get half and half tomorrow or the next day, right? It's I won't do what a lot of other people do, and, get both in the same trip, because that means I have no reason to leave the apartment and, on, say, Thursday or Friday, for example, thinking of what today was. And the reason that is so important to me is because it's important to my mental health. And my guess is, okay, so because of how ADHD works, it basically affects the YouTube channel How To, and then ADHD, but it's all one word. You'll find it even if you type it out as separate words. But yeah, she does some really good videos. ADHD works on the brain, and these are done for educational purposes for both people living with ADHD themselves, such as myself, as well as people who live with someone, a loved one with ADHD, whether that be their child or their partner or, just a really good friend or something, or a roommate, okay, those are the main situations wherein one might want to have some how to ADHD sort of educational topics. So, yeah, she's explained it as, it's basically a neurological condition that affects how the brain's dopamine centers react. So, she explains it a lot better than I do, but basically, the dopamine centers of an ADHD brain require a lot more stimulation for the person to be able to focus their attention on something. So that's why it's easier for us to focus on things that we enjoy doing, even as grown adults, where there are things we know we have to do, but they will fall to the wayside because something that we enjoy a lot more has somehow sucked up our attention. And, this also affects, the development of, what's that called? Executive functions. People kind of that this is a thing that people actually have to learn. You actually have to learn, about how to manage times and tasks and all of that. So, Best X, one of his primary annoyances from living with me was that I have no sense of how much time passes. The average person, they can probably have a good idea of about how long 5 minutes is, or should be, approximately. Give or take a minute. It's not going to be perfect for everybody. It's probably going to be a perfect 5 minutes for very few people, all things considered, but, there's still a relatively neurotypical range of being able to sense how long 5 minutes is. Like I said, you're likely going to be off, within a minute or two, in either direction, but, you're still going to be a lot closer to 5 minutes than the average person with ADHD, predominantly inattentive type, which is myself, you know, you're probably going to have a much better sense of how long 5 minutes is than I will. I have no sense of how much time passes. I have none at all. I don't know. One that I did kind of pick up on is, you know, like your average sitcom, your average half-hour length sitcom, without commercials, because I have, my Hulu subscription is commercial-free because I am not an animal living in my own filth. But that's another story for another time. So, your average television sitcom without commercials is about 22 minutes long. Oh, hey, there's a third person watching the stream right now. I am not seeing any kind of text chat box. So if people are texting, will touching this do anything? No? Oh, wait, there's a thing there. Oh, hey! Oh, hey, okay, I figured out how to make text work. Or how to make chats work. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a bit. I'm going to keep rambling for a minute because I'm going somewhere with this. So yeah, like I have no idea approximately how long 5 minutes is. But I know that your average half-hour TV sitcom is going to be between 22 and 25 minutes without commercials. Because like I said, I've got Hulu commercial-free right now because I'm not an animal living in his own filth. So, that's just like an old thing that Best X and I used to say to each other about, like, the DVR box being kind of essential to the cable subscription that we had at the time. So, where was I? Oh, right. So, I know that, you know, your average show, your average TV sitcom is about, let's say, 23 minutes without commercials. So, on the good side, if it's an episode of a show that I have seen before, or of any particular show I'm watching, then I probably have a better idea than if it was like first viewing how about when the let's say 25% mark is. So 25% of 22 minutes is about 5.5 minutes. Okay. Unfortunately, like having a TV on, like that only works just so well when you're using it as a way to try and help you manage time, because if I get myself absorbed into something that I really enjoy doing, or at least prefer doing to whatever the hell chores Best X and I had to do outside the house at the time. So if I'm trapped up like reading a book or something and I just have the TV on for background music, and either, you know, like I am enjoying the book far more than I was expecting to, or something like, you know, I really didn't want to go out grocery shopping for whatever reason. Or maybe of seeing Best X, and, you know, even though there were several things at the grocery store I wanted to get, that I needed to get, but, you know, I just got sick of looking at Best X that week, so, whatever. It's like, it's not a perfect system, but it was something that I think can get me, can at least keep me, can at least sort of trick me into thinking I have some kind of understanding of how time works. Okay. Okay, so... yeah, where was I going with this? So, I was talking about my ADHD to go out of the apartment for at least an hour, though with the way the bus is running lately, it's usually no less than an hour and a half, because the bus sucks around here even on a good day, even when things are going the way they should, or at least as close to normal as they ever do. I'm not gonna get all waxing philosophical about, like, what even is normal. Not this time, anyway. So, I also have general anxiety disorder, and this is where all that talk about how my ADHD works, where I got sidetracked a little bit into talking about how I have zero sense of time. But yeah, so that's where this all becomes relevant again, is what? Oh, please tell me I can do this. Okay. I cannot. Okay, so, oh, you know what? Ah-ha-ha! Okay, so, so the way that, I explained, which is like the highly truncated version of, the young lady at How to ADHD Explains Things, is that, it affects the way that our, if you've got ADHD, this means that dopamine receptors in your brain do not work as a neurotypical person's should. So basically, you need far more, engaging, mental stimulation than the average person does to accomplish basic tasks, which, which is why fidget toys can be very handy, even for adults with ADHD. So I end up spacing out my my grocery trips to, like, only a few things each time. Like, I'm in danger of, like, being completely out of either the next day or, either, like, right after today or even the next day, because, like, planning 2 days ahead, it's a little bit more responsible than... So then where... So the way I figure is, if I'm... like, which, like I said, I'm sure there are some neighbors of mine in my building who think that they're responsible, quote-unquote, selfish and immature. I'm really hearing people calling me selfish about this, especially because, like, in fact, like just yesterday, I think, went friends only. The domestic violence rate has gone up, depending on where in the world you are, anywhere from 40 to 400%. Their regular averages of, like, weekly calls, depending on where in the world you live. It's either increased 40% or 400%. And keep in mind, this is just domestic violence reports. I'm the only human living in this apartment. Domestic violence is not an issue that directly affects me. It is not an issue that could directly affect me in the near future, especially with, like, people being afraid to touch each other in the most benign ways. So, like, the fact that I'm bringing this up at all, like, how is that self-centered of me, right? Like, how? That makes no sense. Because, like I said, that's not an issue that affects me. That's not an issue that has affected me for 2.5 years. I'm bringing up the fact that, the first 2 weeks of lockdown in Puerto Rico, which is a relatively tiny island territory in the U.S., their first 2 weeks of lockdown, their cases of spousal homicide exceeded their typical annual average. in 2 weeks. Because people are going crazy from being locked indoors. Again, this is not an issue that is at all relevant to my life. For starters, I'm not married. Secondly, I don't live in Puerto Rico. Like, and of course, like, I don't know, like, it's, you know, I could be a little bit more catty about it than I am, but like I said with Fat Jesus, I don't know if he's watching the stream right now. I'll check that in a minute. As I was talking on Instagram, it's like there's some serious cognitive dissonance that people are employing when they criticize me about this. Or is it cognitive dissonance? It's something in that area of fallacious thinking where it's like, this is clearly not a problem that I am exhibiting that you're voicing frustrations with, but you're taking it out on me because, I don't know. And then, of course, you know, I'm the one who's just taking his, you know, but if you ask them, I'm the one who's taking his frustrations out on everybody else because blah, 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 blah. I'm like, honey, I don't talk about my own problems until somebody asks about them. Yes, I'm even referring to last week's on Angela Benedict's stream about a week and a half ago at this point. And yes, she and I have spoken about it, and, you know, we are friends, not the closest of friends, but we're close enough. We know where each other are coming from, and, you know, she understand why I told that other person to go fuck themselves, especially, you know, like, in context. It's just, you know, she likes to be consistent with these certain lines that she draws, so like I said, completely understandable. I'm sure people are making more than it actually was, but it's just like, you know, like, how can somebody sit there and rationalize telling a person who has made it absolutely clear that their biggest problem is being isolated from everybody? Like, how can you just sit there and say that a possible solution to the isolation is to do more solitary activities like meditate? It's like, honey, are you listening to yourself? And if I wasn't already in the middle of an emotional meltdown, I would have responded like that. But, you know, so yeah, like, people are gonna say what they want about, like, how I'm going about my life right now, but like I said, like, it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't, because I'm one of those people who, as mine did, undiagnosed and untreated, because for whatever reason, though in somebody about my age, it's going to be a combination of reasons, because I'm just old enough that, ADHD was considered more of a behavioral disorder and not a neurodivergence, so, you know, that was before they did a lot more sciencing about it, so yeah, a lot of my issues, kind of flew just under the radar, especially when you consider that I went to a tiny Catholic school, and so it's like, we're having like 10 to 12 students per class, right? So if I'm getting bored in class, it is a lot easier to address, you know, the fact that I'm bored and find something else for me to do with my time, and in your Ohio classroom of approximately 30 children in the 1980s. So, yeah. Where was I going with this? Right, so yeah. So I something inside the apartment for about an hour, hour and a half every day. Even if it's just something stupid like going to check my mail and then come back, or check my mail and if there was no mail, pick up my meds at Walgreens and then come right back. If it's just something really stupid, like 2 tasks, absolute max, and space out my groceries to things that can only get me through another day or two rather than the rest of the week. So, that means I'm spending less time stuck at home being a massive ball of anxiety. This means I am spending less time when I am a massive ball of anxiety pulling my hair out with tweezers because it hurts and because my brow girl had to cancel all appointments because of this. And she knows that I get my eyebrows waxed so that I'm not turning to self-harm, right? I'm sorry, I'm like peeling bits off of the crown of a pineapple because I got in the middle of talking and I want to plant this. Did I take enough off? I'm not sure. Well, I will leave it in the mixing bowl that I made this morning's Dutch baby in. And there's the... Now, this is my social interactions has a extroverted, but I think of it is really stimulating to and just like I don't know, just like weekly game night. Aging self and maybe a couple friends. It's a lot easier. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Siska asked how the cats are doing. The cats are doing great. I had a video session with my therapist a few days ago. I'm sure there are people it does much better for, but I just, well, like I said, it's, yeah, there's more just, there's more, sensory engagement, I guess you could say, that, like when another person is in front of you, rather than streaming on your smartphone, like, you're not just seeing and hearing them, you've also got, like a sense of spatial, your sense of space is engaged, your sense of smell is engaged, within reason, your task, yeah, it's elite engagement for at least some people with ADHD to like engage socially, like in physical spaces, than it is via like virtual mean. Like my, while I enjoy making videos, I also realize that I can seem very unfocused in them, which, okay, that's just how it is. But when I'm out with friends, I tend to seem a bit more together, I guess. I still am fairly easily distracted, but I generally have a better sense of focus on what's being said, and all, which is another reason why when I'm doing live streams I'm often more set engagement. It really is best to do it out. Can help me attention on what I should be doing by occupying other senses, by engaging other senses. So, like, there's things that I've just kind of learned to tune out at certain points, like, like when, so I know Phoebe does not hate Murnau, she does not dislike him. As far as she's concerned, he's just like an annoying little brother at this point, but I've learned to tune that out sometimes because I know it's nothing to worry about. So, yeah, it's just, like I said, like, engaging the world outside my home is a necessary part of my day so that when I am home, I'm less burdened by my anxieties and all. So, yeah, and I know there are going to be people who are going to say whatever they want to about that, but like that's the reality that I live in. That even though when I am out in the world and like engaging with it, like I've got friends who who thought I was just like a really hard nut to crack, or just to like use old person terminology. Like they thought I seemed really standoffish at first. Best X does the RPG tabletop pen and dice, kind of game night with a group of his friends from work, and he does that like every week, every 2 weeks, something like that. But, like, if they had to cancel 1 week that it was supposed to happen and put it off for, say, 2 weeks, it wouldn't affect him that much. He'd just go and engage that. Scott would just go engage that doing anything else, that requires about the same amount of energy that game night would for it. On the other hand, like I said, I compared to some of my friends, including Best X, I seem very extroverted. But like I said, I've got some friends who think I seem incredibly introverted because of reasons. But one of those being that even though I do enjoy going out to nightclubs regularly or whatever on a regular enough basis, I generally keep to myself unless I have reason not to. I really do. I tend to keep to myself until I have reason not to. And maybe that reason I'm not keeping to myself tonight is because there's somebody who seems like they'd be really interesting to talk to, so I go and talk to them because that's at least engaging, my senses meaningfully enough to, help me feel more functional. Fair. But yeah, like I said, I've got a friend who thought I was hard nut to crack because, even though I am regular at little events, for the most part, I keep to myself. Maybe with a couple other friends, and my guess this is that my neurodiverse figured out how to manage itself. And I speak of it as if it's its own entity, and I'm sure you might understand that kind of feeling sometimes. But, just because it's, like, the more full sensory stimulation my brain gets, the easier it is for me to do other things. So, yeah, it's like, no, I'm not doing, like the social media internet age wrong. I'm not doing it wrong. I'm doing it the way I kind of have to in order to function like a person. What was I doing? Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I should catch up on some chat. Okay. Okay. Juju asked if I could see, and that's, I don't know, is that where I figured out where the chat thing was at? Siska says, yes, he does see. Will. Oh yeah, I come back to the comments periodically. Okay, Siska asks what I was cooking. I'm not cooking. I was just doing dishes. And you're eating breakfast. Hope you're enjoying it. Out for now. Stay safe. And oh, I missed you leaving. Okay, Moonchild93 says hello and hello too. Is this it? Think there's poop. It keeps cutting out. You notice as well. Wait, what is this? What is this little dot up here? Wait. Is that a thing telling me about more cat? I don't understand. Oh, wait. Taking care of yourself. Proud of you. Have something that works. Hopefully it works. I like for it to work. Okay, I'm going to leave the text box open. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if it's the program or what, but I thought I would at least start picking up in the kitchen on stream. Unfortunately, my sick, sad little brain got distracted by shiny things because, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I started out the... Oh, wait. Nobody should tell you what works best for you. Okay, I think chat is really lagging unless I am being denied knowledge of how many people are watching the stream. Nobody should tell you what works best for you. You know. Oh, yeah. Well, for the most part, I know what's best. I mean, there's always new things I could try to see if something new works better. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems so counterintuitive at that one person on Angela's stream week and a half ago now, suggesting, hey, your problem is you're being isolated from the world due inherently isolating activity that, like I said, if not all middle meltdown, I probably would have with civility, but tell that person to go fuck them. That was just such, like, who thinks that way? Not for this. That's not what this is. Oh, that is. That's vinegar, brown silver polish. Cleaner. Wait. Light. For the balcony. Oh, I've got bulbs. Okay. Okay, fruit fly spray, silver polish, wood polish, clean rags. Oh, wait. Shit. That's why this is out. Okay. So let's see. Bleach can go there. Brand new thing of dish soap can go there. Light bulb can go to the balcony. Why do I have two things now? I don't know. So buttons. Wait. Didn't I have a, why do I have two? Oh, I do have. I do have extra hand soap. Well, the last couple times I got hand soap. I got a couple of these things from the food pantry, so I just filled up my Black Cat hand soap jobbies from there. So let's see, I got plenty of hand soap, I've got plenty of bleach, plenty of vinegar. Should not mix them, I believe. Okay, I think I've had this one a bit longer. So, as far as hopefully my connection has been being stupid all night with the Wi-Fi. But other than that, it's not terrible. It's not the worst app I've used. So I'll try this again tomorrow. Actually, I usually do. Because the Detroit Archdiocese has, they are keeping their, all of their operations closed. Virus pandemic, which includes the fact that, yeah, this is saying that there's anybody in the, watching the stream right now. So, okay, I'm going to wrap this up, and like I said, I am going to check out a new food pantry tomorrow, during their hours that they do that, and I will come back to